A little bit of my background before we talk about retail, because I do want to talk about retail. I'm passionate about retail. How many, just by a show of hands, how many students actually do we have in the room today? Can you raise hands? Sit over here. Okay, so our student section is over here. Okay, I'll be speaking a little bit to you all today as we talk about retailing and what retailing is all about. Oh, some over here too. Okay, there you go. Okay, I don't want to forget you all. There you go. Good. As the introduction, I had to get a real job about 31 years ago. And I say a real job, I was very fortunate in that I had a chance to kick a football for a living. I say to people quite a bit, if I was actually very good, I wouldn't be standing here today. I'd own a couple car dealerships, and I would have had a 10 or 15 year career in the NFL. I did not. And in 1985, I got cut by the New York Jets, and my very first job was in retail. And it was working for Texaco. And one thing I love that we're doing at Bridgestone Retail Operations, and I do want the young people to hear this, is we've started an internship program where every year we hire 250 seniors in college, and we put them to work in our stores. And after 10 weeks working in our stores, those that work out, we actually offer full-time employment. But we teach them to get their hands dirty, and it's not much different than it was for me 31, 32 years ago when I share this story, but it's a great story that my wife loves to share. I was drafted by the New York Jets, played 3 years in the USFL and NFL, and in 1985 I got cut. And I was offered a number of different jobs, investment banking, and one was actually in ministry, another one was from sales of Koi Palmolive. I decided to get into retail with Texaco, running service stations. And the training program at Texaco had you actually working in the stores itself, which to understand the business. Well, many of you aren't old enough to remember this, but there used to be a time there was full-serve gasoline stations. And my first 3 months, I was asked to work in a full-service station, and I'd be filling cars and checking dicks and doing all kinds of things. And my wife now this is a guy that, I'd been in the NFL a week earlier, and my wife sent everybody she knew from the neighborhood to come in so I could fill up their car and check their dipstick and make sure that they were well taken care of. But I can tell you, and I mean this honestly, 31 years ago, after having that experience and actually working in the store and selling Snickers bars at 3 o'clock in the morning, because in the convenience store business, you're open 24 hours a day, has taught me as a leader to really understand this business. I mean, to really understand retail. We say in our business, retail is detail. And we're a 7-day-a-week business, 12 hours a day. I was worried about 150 store teammates yesterday in South Carolina because of the flooding. We had 14 stores closed yesterday. So, and we had a number of teammates that actually houses were underwater, the cars were underwater. The retail business is a community and it's a family when you work for a company. And it's an honor to be part of this industry and be part of an organization that cares so much about teammates. And I do want to encourage, before I talk about Vision 2020 and I talk about what we're trying to do at Bridgestone, I want to encourage you to really think long and hard about what you want to do when you grow up. And to really think long and hard, do you want to get into retailing? Because it is a special industry to get in. And if you're going to get into retailing, the one thing I would encourage you is to start in the ground floor and learn the business from the way up. Because that is the way you really, really get to understand this industry, because it's a very, very special industry. So with that being said, that's my background. I want to talk a little bit, if I can, about something that we're going through at Bridgestone. So I joined the company about 26 months ago, and I was president of Jiffy Lube. So I was selling a lot of oil, and as a matter of fact, selling more oil than anybody in the United States. And when I was recruited by our CEO, he said, "Stu, I want you to come into this company, and I want you to take this company from good to great." He says, "We're a 100-year-old company. Harvey Firestone opened the first store back actually 90 years ago, but he started Firestone Tire and Rubber Company 110 plus years ago. And we've got a great reputation in the industry, but we're only good. And let me challenge you to take this company and take it from good to great. And so what I'm going to share with you for the next few minutes is what we are trying to do at Bridgestone Retail Operations in taking this company from good to great. So 26 months ago, I show up, and I'm the first outside hire at this level ever in company history. So for 90 years, they've always promoted within. Always promote within. So I'm the outsider coming in, and I can tell you, Chuck, you've been in the company how long? 38 years?
32.
32 years. We have a number of teammates. I just retired a teammate last week by the name of Don Boatson. His father worked for Harvey Firestone. His father was vice president of Firestone Bank. Don retired after 55 years with our company. Imagine, 55 years. Last Monday, he retired. We have a long history of teammates that have spent their career, 18 years old, since college, and they work a long time. And so I'm an outsider coming in. And they're looking at me as if, what are you going to do to make this place great that we can't do already? And it's a challenge because as an outsider coming to an organization that's 90 years old, you've got to delicately walk and think about how you're going to manage this business. And so we spent the first 6 months, or I spent the first 6 months, trying to understand our teammates, understand the industry, and trying to teach the teammates within our organization why we had to change. And so in February, I started in August of 2013. In February of 2014, we had our first national convention that I attended. And it was in Orlando, Florida. It was 3,000 of our teammates, the ones who run our stores and our leadership team. And I got on the stage and said, you are no longer in the tire business. They said, what? I said, you are no longer. Your competition is now Nordstrom's. Your competition is now Whole Foods. It's Starbucks. It's no longer NTB. It's no longer Big O Tire. It's not Badgear. Some people call it Goodyear, right? It's none of those folks. You're not competing with those folks anymore. You know why? Because it's an industry that is average. And if we're going to go from good to great, we've got to start raising our bar high. And so it was at that time in what I call our company's journey that for the first time the teammates realized we're no longer competing with the folks that turn wrenches and sell tires. We are in the retail business. And so how do you take a team that for 90 years really considered NTB and Big O Tire and Goodyear, Badgear, as a competition, and overnight try to change their thinking about the way they do business? So we created Vision 2020. And it's a strategy that we put together, working with the teammates around the country to say, this is the journey we can get on. We were a good company. We're a $4 billion company. It's not like we haven't been doing good things for the last few years, right? Our division is $4 billion. We're the biggest in the industry. But it's not just good enough to be the biggest. You've got to be the best. And we are getting our tails kicked by dealers, and by small independents, and by regional marketers, and the folks like the discount tires. Discount tires, is it in Birmingham? I tell you what, they're pretty good competition, right? And there's the regional players that are beginning to outcompete us. So how do you take this national chain of 23,000 people and go from good to great? And I want to tell that journey, that story for the next 10 minutes. First, we had to understand what we wanted to be when we grow up. Because if you ask the teammates in our organization, nobody knew exactly what our purpose was. And so for about 6 months, we literally locked ourselves in rooms. We did a lot of research, tried to understand the industry, and this purpose statement says to be the most trusted provider of automotive care in every neighborhood we serve. That was our rallying cry for our organization. June of 2014, we announced our purpose and our vision. Be the most trusted provider of automotive care in every neighborhood you serve. So let me explain why we chose that purpose and what that means to us as an organization. The two key words there, trusted. We are an industry that's not a trusted industry. It's funny, I was flying back from Boston at a meeting with Verizon about 6 months ago, and I was reading USA Today, and they did a survey. They asked 500 women, what are the 5 things you least like to do? Number 2 on the list was get their teeth cleaned and go to the dentist. Number 1 was get their car serviced. That was number one. So there was no way that we were going to change an industry if we, number one, didn't have trust. The second part of that, the second part of our purpose is to be involved in the communities in which we serve. We have 2,218 stores. It's our goal by the end of 2020 to have 3,000 stores. So we're on a growth journey right now. We plan to be in a $6 billion division in 4 more years. And to do that, you've got to get involved in the community. So what else did we do around that? We just announced in February of this year that we developed a national partnership with the Boys Clubs and Girls Clubs of America. And why did we, that association? So that our teammates at our 2,200 locations could be involved in the communities with the people in which they work. Because you can't be a world-class retailer unless you're involved in the communities in which you work. We're very purposeful about what we do and why we're doing it. Second thing is our aspiration. Change an industry that few trust. We know that we're starting at a level that's very low, an industry that's not much trusted. People are always afraid to be an upsold, right? I'm going to see a lot of heads shaking because people go into our industry, am I going to trust this person? They sell me something I don't need. Do I really need brakes? Do I not need brakes? Right? It's all those questions. And we had those questions with our own company. So it's about the trust factor, our vision. And this is what is really driving me every day when I wake up. And we use the John F. Kennedy vision statement as what we worked from, developed this. For those of you who remember John F. Kennedy, the former president, he had a vision in 1961. He says, I want to put a man on the moon by the end of the decade. It was probably the very first vision statement ever made, right? Now, if you remember when he made that statement, the Russians were kicking our butts. They had cosmonauts in orbit. We tried to send one up and it blew up, right? We didn't even have a person in orbit, yet he said in 1961, by the end of the decade, we're going to put a man on the moon. That's a pretty ambitious vision. Well, our vision is this. We want to be recognized as the most admired customer service companies by the end of the decade. And what we really say is we want to be recognized as one of the top 100 service companies by the end of the decade. And that's measured by Forbes magazine and Fortune magazine. Right now, there is no service company in our space there right now. There's no one. There's no one competing as a top 100 service provider. So once again, our vision isn't to be better than NTB in bad year. Our vision is to be recognized as a top service provider. And so that is what our whole strategy is built around. Every time I put a note out, and I write these guys a lot, they get tired of me writing them. I always have our vision, our purpose. We're very purposeful about reminding people what we want to be when we grow up. Our strategic imperative, create lifetime customers. And I think it's interesting, the next thing we wrote, shift focus from maximizing the value of each transaction to maximizing the value of each customer. And it says, win the boss across all moments of truth. We call the customer the boss. If you talk to any teammate within our organization, the customer is not the customer. They're known as the boss. But what we were teaching our teammates is, when a customer comes in, if they need brakes 3 months from now, you tell that customer, come back and visit me in 3 months. We won't sell you brakes today. You still have some more wearing. We're trying to create lifetime customers within our organization. Lifetime customers. It's a big, audacious goal that we have as a company, and we're on the right journey and we're getting there. So how are we going to get there? We have what we call 5 must-win battles. And this is the strategy that we developed as a team that we're implementing now. Number one, first one, increase boss loyalty. That's increase customer loyalty, okay? Increase boss loyalty. Do you know when we started this initiative, 9% of our customers represent 42% of our revenue and 47% of our profit. So let me say that again. 9% of our customers represent 42% of our customers and 47%. Start again, Stu. 9% of our customers represent 42% of our revenue and 47% of our profit. We had a very loyal customer, but to get bigger and better, we've got to grow that loyal customer base. So I've got our marketing team working on CRM and digital marketing initiatives and all kinds of initiatives, coupled with our operations team to provide world-class boss experiences so that we can get to a loyal customer base. We're going back and doing the research. And I was talking to our analytics group the other day, and they now say since June of 2014 to today that we've increased our boss loyalty from 9% to 15%. So it's beginning to take hold. We're not there yet, we're not taking victory laps, but we're beginning to see teammates embrace what we're trying to do at the retail level, and we're having bosses beginning to say nice things about us as opposed to bad things about us. It's funny, I get customer complaints and customer compliments every day. I get about 60 a day come across my email. When I started this, it was usually about 40 complaints a day and 20 compliments a day. And people are typically complaining more than they compliment, right? That would be typical. And actually, if you think 60 a day, oh my God, we see 22 million customers a year. It's about 0.005%, so it's not like I'm overwhelmed by this. But what I've started seeing the last few months is the compliments are almost in line with the complaints. We're beginning to see the worm turn a little bit. It's not there yet. We're not giving up yet, are we, Chuck? But bottom line is, we're getting there. We're getting there. We're trying to change the culture. Oops, let me go back. Second thing, harness the power of clean auto care. What does that mean? Do you know we're owned by a tire manufacturing company, right? We sell $4 billion a year, only $1.5 billion of that is tires. $2.5 billion of that are brakes, oil, and all the services that we do. All the services, we're a full service auto care. So we're trying to grow this business, not just in the tire business, but in our service business. And there's all kinds of issues. Once again, if you gave me an hour, I would have this place rocking all the things that we're trying to do to grow all these things. I don't have that kind of time today. But bottom line is all kinds of initiatives. Build winning markets. One of the things we're doing is, within our organization, is we used to have 6 vice presidents around the country. And they would find a great location, and they would build that location. But there wasn't a strategy behind that location. It's all been centralized. We now look, if we have a manufacturing plant that's making tires in Alabama, it makes sense to build more stores in Atlanta because our distribution costs are less to bring that tire from point A to point B. All right? So we become very sophisticated with high-level analytics in the last 15 months to say, where do you want to build to maximize your revenue? And looking at scale on all those locations. So a number of strategies around that. The fourth thing is drive B2B growth. Now this is something that is very interesting in our industry. We do about $4 billion in sales. $500 million of that is with enterprise rent-a-car, Hertz, and fleet customers. So we sell over 500,000 tires a year to enterprise rent-a-car alone. Yeah, we didn't have a focus in our business on what we call our B2B business. We may be a retail business, but we do $500 million in B2B itself. So we have a whole initiative around that. It's our goal at the end of 3 years in each major city in the United States to have 20 and 30 bay locations that aren't branded. And all the B2B customers take their business to those locations. So a customer would never know it's a Firestone location, but the fleet customers and those rental car customers we bring in, it's all part of the strategy in growing the business. And last but not least is developing a high-performance boss-centric culture. And when I say a high-performing boss-centric culture, it means that we can't accept mediocrity as an organization. You know, I've introduced a concept of servant leadership over the last 6 months. And if anybody's ever read the books on servant leadership, I'm a big believer in servant leadership. I don't believe in bowling, but I believe in performing. Okay? I don't believe in bowling, but I do believe in performing. And how do you have that? How can you love people unconditionally and tell them they should work somewhere else and be a boss somewhere else? It's all about servant leadership. And we're creating a culture within our organization that we're going to love you, but we're going to love you and expect you to perform. And if you can't perform for us, then you're going to become a customer to us, right? But the bottom line is, in developing this culture, it takes time and it takes a lot of the changes within an organization. Because we were an organization that said, by golly, if you don't hit that plan number, you're going to be pounding the road. And it created almost a fear and intimidation within our organization and some parts of the organization. Servant leadership is driving our 23,000 teammates and how we're going to take our organization from good to great. Now, how do you do this? This is hard. This is a 90-year-old company that in the last 22 years have not reorganized. So in June of last year, I stood up on a stage very similar to this with the top 300 managers of the company and said, here's our strategy. I took you through 2 hours of strategy. And then I said, oh, by the way, here's your new leadership team. And on the stage, and I don't mind publicly sharing the story, so I'll share the story. About 6 months before that, I stood in front of a group. It was my second month in the job. And at that point, I realized one thing. We're in the retail business, but something really smelled bad to me. I looked at our leadership team, and I asked the 97 leaders, senior leaders in the organization to stand up. I said, what stands out about you guys? Well, we're good looking, we're a bunch of studs. I heard all these things from them. They were saying, right? I said, I see 97 white males standing. I had 97 white males standing in that room. I said, folks, we don't look anything like our bosses. We look absolutely nothing like our customers. On June 10th of last year, my leadership team was 50% diverse on the day we announced Vision 2020. I brought an African American male who's the director of operations from Best Buy. He has rocked our world. I brought in a female from Advanced Auto Parts. She's come in, our VP of sales, and has changed our B2B business. We are trying to look like the communities in which we serve. And you can't do that with a bunch of people who look just like you, right? So it's a new opportunity for our company. But the only way you can become a high-performing culture is by looking like the communities in which you serve. And it's been hard, folks. I can tell you, there's days I wake up and I have folks saying, I hope this guy goes away. I hope he goes away. We had not reorganized in 22 years. Same people in the same jobs. We kept a few around like Chuck. He's really good. I actually like Chuck. So we kept him around, right? And we're keeping the good ones around. But the bottom line is you've got to change because the industry's changing. So what is this slideshow? And I'm going to be off in 2 minutes because I'm going to get in trouble. Somebody start throwing these at me pretty soon. Is 2014, the years of blocking and tackling. We had to get our organization right. We had to get our strategy right. We had to get the basics right. Went through a reorganization, changed the way we looked. We still try to promote 90% within. I still believe in promoting within, by the way. I don't believe you should bring everybody from the outside. Sometimes you have to do it for the right reasons. But, and we believe we now have the organization right. We call, so 14, 15, blocking and tackling for those football people out here, right? 15 and 16, you know, it goes from crawl to walk. We start walking really fast. We start investing in technology. We have underinvested in technology. We have a new lab store right now. If you go into it, it's sexy. I know selling tires and oils isn't very sexy. If you go to our lab store in Chicago, you walk away and say, man, that was a retail experience. It's investing in technology, investing in new processes, investing in new training processes. By 18, we better be running. You better be seeing a different experience when you go into one of our Firestone stores, our Tires Plus stores. The experience should be different, the location should look different, and you should be getting world-class service. So that's all I have. Oops, don't want to talk about my thing. That's all I have. I apologize once again. I'm taking what is actually about an hour and a half speech and trying to fit in 15, 20 minutes. And that's hard for me to do. But in closing this, my closing comments are this. Young people, college students, this is a great industry. It is a great, great industry to get into. There are so many opportunities in the retail business, I can't tell you. And sometimes it doesn't feel very sexy, but I can tell you at the end of the day, the paycheck feels pretty good, okay? So it's a great industry. Number two, if you're gonna get into this industry, be very clear about what your vision is. What do you wanna be when you grow up? Have a strategy, have a purpose, have a vision. Know where you wanna get to. We are very clear about where we want to get to. We're very purposeful and very thoughtful about how we're getting there. We know we've got to crawl, walk, run. But all that is part of our strategy. And last, and this is just a thank you to you all, thank you for your business. We are thrilled to be part of this association, be sponsors with this association, and we look forward to a long-term relationship with you all in the future. So, thank you.